Episode 14. The Forked Path. The air in Dr. Aldus Wellington's office hung thick, the hollow lamp's dim glow casting jagged shadows across Gideon Varn's angular face. He sat behind the desk, his midnight blue coat catching the light, eyes locked on Kane Voss with an intensity that felt like a blade pressed to skin. The scotch in Gideon's glass sat untouched now, its amber sheen a faint echo of the core, still beating faintly in Kane's mind from the study beyond. Kane leaned back in his chair, gripping the arms, his pulse a steady drum against the weight of Gideon's words. Atlantean blood, a manhunt, two paths, servitude or a fugitive's life. Kane's jaw clenched, his voice low, edged with defiance. You talk like you've got me pinned, Gideon. Like I don't have a move left. Gideon's lips curved, not quite a smile, his baritone smooth but unyielding. Listen, Kane, I'm not the monster you think I am. He leaned forward, elbows on the desk, fingers steepled, his gaze softening just enough to unsettle. A monster. Yes, I won't deny it, but not how it seems. There are evils far greater than me, ones I've fought longer than you'd believe. Shadows that don't care for borders or ASIs, that'd burn this world to ash without a blink. I know you hate me, Nyx, Jasmine, the blood on your trail. You think I set you up, pinned those deaths to frame you. Truths, all of them. But when you're as old as I am, as seasoned, with stakes this high, you learn a hard lesson. Winning this fight matters more than any single life. Yours, mine, theirs. Kane's stomach churned, Nyx's ruined face flashing in his mind. Jasmine's laugh cut silent. You call that winning? He snapped, voice raw. Slaughtering my crew, hanging their deaths on me? Gideon's eyes didn't waver, cold as slate but burning with conviction. Our enemies have no mercy, Kane. None. We show weakness. We lose everything. Not just you, but Sadie, Aldus, every soul still clawing for freedom in this fractured world. I offer you a better life, answers to questions you've carried since you were a boy. Why you're different. Why the core sings to you. But don't mistake my generosity for softness. His voice dropped, a velvet blade. Decide now. Join me, and I demand absolute loyalty. Unwavering, unbreakable. Or walk and face the wolves alone. Choose. The room seemed to shrink, the walls closing like a trap. Kane's mind raced, parsing Gideon's offer, the fork in his path. Stay. And he'd be a cog in a machine he didn't trust, bound to a man who'd spilled blood without blinking. Walk, and Libra's drones would hunt him, their justice blind and relentless, pinning murders he didn't commit. 20 million Toshi coins glittered in his thoughts. Safety, Sadie, a life he'd never dared dream. But the core, tied to his blood, wasn't just a key. It was a chain, and Gideon held the other end. Damned either way, the choice wasn't freedom. It was survival. He thought of Sadie's eyes, fierce and wounded, the way she'd touched his arm in the yard, promising together. He thought of Nyx, broken for this game, and Jasmine, dead for knowing him. His whole life, running, scraping, losing, had led to this desk, this moment. Kane exhaled, long and slow, his voice steady despite the churn in his gut. All right, Gideon, I'm in. But don't think I'm your dog. I'm doing this my way. Gideon's smile was sharp, satisfied, a chess master claiming a piece. Good choice, Kane. You won't regret it. Not yet. He stood, draining his scotch in one smooth motion, and opened the door, his voice crisp. Zara, secure the core. We're moving. Zara Rain slipped into the study like a shadow, her crimson cyber eye glinting as she strode to the desk, her liquid black bodysuit rippling with purpose. She lifted the core with gloved hands, its faint glow dimming in her grip, and sealed it in a padded case, her movements precise, predatory. Kane watched, his skin prickling at the spiral tattoo on her wrist, the glyph from the core, the one that had spooked Aldus. Zara's gaze flicked to him, a flicker of amusement in her organic eye. Then she was gone, case in hand, a ghost returning to the night. Gideon led Kane back to the study, where Sadie sat rigid on the couch, her holopad dark, her knife now openly on her thigh. Aldus stood by the shelves, his white hair catching the fire's glow, his face a mask of calm that didn't reach his eyes. Gideon's presence shifted the room. His charm, a warm tide, as he addressed Aldus, voice heavy with regret. "My dear old friend, I'm sorry, but you and Sadie must come with me now. We've little time before they find us. Kane's agreed to my terms." Sadie's eyes snapped to Kane, sharp with questions, betrayal lurking beneath. Kane met her gaze, his voice low, urgent. "Sadie, Libra's after me. Thinks I'm a murderer. Pinned Nix, Jasmine, others on me. It's a lie, but they won't stop. Not now they've got my name." Her lips parted, shock warring with trust. But before she could speak, Gideon cut in, his tone grim. "It's not just Libra, Kane. Word's spreading. Shadows are stirring. Ones even I can't predict. We move now, or we don't move at all." Aldus's jaw tightened, but he nodded, grabbing a worn satchel from a shelf, his movements brisk. "If it's time, he said, voice steady, but laced with something Kane couldn't place. Resignation maybe, or calculation. Sadie stood, pocketing her holopad, her eyes never leaving Kane, a silent promise to unravel this later. Gideon led them out, Zara at his side, her team, Torin and Lysa, materializing from the dark, their silhouettes taut with readiness. The street was quiet, Beacon Verge's neon pulse distant, but Kane felt eyes in the shadows, a weight he couldn't shake. Gideon's private jet waited at a private airstrip nearby, its sleek frame cloaked in stealth tech, engines roaring low. They boarded in silence, Kane, Sadie, Aldus, Gideon, Zara. The cabin a sterile cocoon of leather and hollow screens, a far cry from Freeland's grit. As the jet roared skyward, slicing toward Gideon's headquarters in Nova Reach, Kane glanced at Sadie, her face unreadable, and felt the core's absence like a missing limb. Minutes after the jet vanished into the night, Libra's police force descended on Aldus's townhouse, their drones buzzing like vultures, blue optics cutting through the ivy-choked dark. Armored units swept the street, their rifles at the ready, while forensic bots scuttled across the lawn, scanning for DNA, prints, anything to tie Kane Voss to the slaughter pinned on his name. Inside, they tore through the study, books toppled, holopads fried. The safe where the core had rested now empty, its Faraday cage a mute witness. Libra's justice was relentless, its ASI mind weaving a net from data. Kane's bike, Nix's blood, Jasmine's throat. He was a ghost, but ghosts left traces, and Libra hunted without mercy. But another shadow watched, unseen by drones or cops, perched on a rooftop 2 blocks away. The assassin was a wraith, clad in gray nano weave that drank the light, a hood masking all but a pair of amber eyes, cold and unblinking. A compact crossbow rested in gloved hands, its bolts tipped with neurotoxins no medtech could counter. This was no order killer, no Libra pawn. Veyra Solis, blade of the Templar Covenant, a secret order descended from the Knights Templar, bound to a church older than recorded history. Her masters served no ASI, no dominion, only a doctrine forged in crusades and catacombs. Protect the sacred, purge the profane. The core, whispered in their vaults, was blasphemy, a key to a weapon no mortal should wield. Veyra's mission was simple: find it, destroy it, and end anyone touched by its light. She tracked Libra's drones, her augmented lenses mapping their patterns, her mind sharp with centuries-old tradecraft. Kane was the key, his blood the lock, and Gideon's jet, a beacon she'd follow to the end. The Covenant had waited a millennium for this moment, and Veyra would not fail. As Libra's lights faded and the drones retreated, Veyra slipped into the night, a ghost among ghosts, The hunt now threefold: Kane, Gideon, the core, and a world teetering on the edge of ruin.